Money game beyond the classroom. Mike Tyson, a professional boxer and heavyweight champion, filed for bankruptcy in 2003 with $30 million in debt despite amassing over $300 million during his career, which raises a great question about money itself, because many of our actions or motivations in life have an underlying desire or need to acquire it. But what's the sense of getting it if the main problem seems to be our capacity to handle it? Americans currently have the greatest amount of credit card debt in history. Debt is an unseen burden faced by the most disadvantaged citizens of the nation. Of course, these figures apply to the United Kingdom and the United States. But analyze your own attitude toward money and how money exists in your own life for a minute. What does money mean to you? Is it something that seems to invade your life and then leave? Has it ever put you in a vulnerable position? A weakness that brought you closer to a get-rich-quick scam, or a guru assuring you that if you only purchased their course, you could become wealthy? While my whole channel strives to address these issues to some extent, I recognize that our impressions of money are often more important than our capacity to create it, particularly when our minds are wired in such a manner that we are unable to be financially prudent. Is it really important to make more than 6 figures every year? If you have nothing to show for it at the end of the year? Where is the schism? It's past time to unravel that enigma, as well as look into a better foundation for comprehending money. A structure routinely taught in personal finance, but sometimes overlooked in formal education, is a question. What is money, or what does money signify when you buy anything from Amazon? When you get compensated for your time spent working at a job, what role does money play in these transactions? Money is typically described as a means of exchange, or a tool that allows the exchange of products between persons. However, I do not believe this tells anything about what money genuinely symbolizes. Money, in my opinion, should be seen as a statement of worth. You give a specific amount of money to buy something because you believe its worth is comparable to the amount of money you gave. Of fact, the price is often established by the market as a whole rather than you as an individual. But remember one thing: money has a worth. Why is this so important? Because humans often assign moral weight to money, as in the famous saying, "Money is the root of all evil." We look at someone who seems to have a lot of money and assume they got fortunate. Who did they take advantage of to get there? Who had to lose in order for them to win? And never what value was provided to acquire that money. Understanding that money is merely a store of value is the greatest way to comprehend that money is not always bad, nor does it make a person wicked. Sure, there are fraudsters who persuade you that what they have to offer is valuable. But that says more about their values than it does about money. Money only expands your possibilities and broadens your perspectives. The decisions you make with that money are entirely dependent on your own moral inclinations. Money is therefore a representation of value. Now, how does this alter the reality of someone who lives paycheck to paycheck or is burdened by credit card debt? The mere mention of money results in value adjustments and nothing else. It could change my perspective on money. But how much of it is practical advice? To address that, I'll pose another question. What is your attitude toward money? Money will come and go. This is a connection that is often shown by your income and spending. Another practical way to communicate this that I appreciate is your productivity versus your consumption. Money will generally enter your life because you have created something of worth. And for the majority of us, this value will take the shape of work. Money will leave your employment after you have eaten anything. A Netflix membership, a new vehicle, and a home are all possibilities. In various respects, an individual's net worth may be used to determine their connection between consumption and output. Examine the figures I presented at the beginning of this video. What component of the consumption versus production connection do you believe is at fault here, and examine yourself for a second. Consider all of the money that has entered and left your life. How much of it do you still own or have invested in any kind of asset? And which aspect of this connection do you believe is out of balance or might be improved? Is it possible that both? However, for the majority of us, the main concern is our consumption. Remember the Career Builder report, which found that 78% of American employees were living paycheck to paycheck. It was also discovered that 1 in 10 employees earning $100,000 or more each year were living paycheck to paycheck. You may argue that someone making 6 figures per year would desire to make more. But what if you were paid far more than the average pay and the cost of living and yet managed to waste it all? I'd suggest that before you address your connection with production, you should first mend your relationship with consumption. As any affluent celebrity who has declared bankruptcy can demonstrate, productivity is meaningless. When you have a consumption issue, a rat race, a continuous self-defeating or useless quest. The rat race is often confused with having a 9-to-5 job. It's a common analogy made by some people to shame you into purchasing programs and books for them. But this appears to be extremely unfair, primarily because it seeks to villainize a job while ignoring the fact that there are those who either love or are perfectly fine with their jobs or have other aspirations aside from their 9-to-5. A true rat race is one that is constantly living on the brink of bankruptcy, a feeling that the moment money enters your life, it immediately disappears, and the more responsibilities you have, the more dangerous. This connection becomes the loss of a job, an unanticipated health accident, or any other unexpected incident may throw your whole financial situation into disarray, and consider the mental implications of living on the financial edge. Your employment is no longer an option. It becomes a need in order to maintain your lifestyle or pay off debt. To paraphrase Tyler Durden from Fight Club, the things you own end up being only you. What's the silver lining here? That doesn't have to be the case. The first stepping stone in personal finance is to become conscious of your connection with money. This is often accomplished by keeping a record of your monthly spending, which are classified as housing, transportation, food, utilities, entertainment, and so on. It is about knowing oneself as a customer, which is difficult in behavioral finance. This is sometimes referred to as the ostrich effect, which refers to our predisposition to ignore unpleasant financial information. It's the sensation you get when you hesitate to peek at your bank account after a night out because you're afraid of what it could reveal. However, after you've passed this stage, it's time to take charge of your shopping behavior. This often incorporates the concept of budgeting, which is selecting how much you want to spend on each of these areas each month and adhering to it. It's about looking at what you consume and finding methods to reduce it so that you may eventually live below your means. In other words, living a lifestyle that nevertheless allows you to save and invest in some way or another. It's also worth noting that, before you decide to invest, one of the most typical personal financial strategies is to save an emergency fund. A set quantity of funds that you keep. This fund would normally store 3 to 6 months' worth of costs in the event of an emergency. However, the concept of living below your means is crucial because why would we do otherwise? Why would we choose to live a life we couldn't afford? Or one that puts us on the verge of bankruptcy? I could do a whole film on our cognitive biases. The ostrich effect is simply one of several that might have an impact on your financial situation. Then there's hyperbolic discounting, which is a propensity to choose short-term benefits over longer-term rewards. This is you opting to buy a new pair of shoes rather than preserving that money for a future investment. Or there's social evidence, our inclination to think and act as those around us. Think and act when the people around you are purchasing something, you buy it as well. Or, if the people around you see money as a source of evil, you are inclined to do the same. This major consuming issue is summed neatly by the expression, keeping up with the Joneses. Google defines it as attempting to replicate or not be outdone by one's neighbors. They purchase a new Porsche, you buy one as well. They have good clothing, you acquire some as well. They remodel their house, you do it as well. All in an effort to impress or keep up with others due to some type of social pressure, only in today's society. The Joneses are not actual neighbors, they are far more present. We are all susceptible to societal acceptance. We are quite concerned about what others think of us. But the issue is that we judge our value based on how many people like what we share. The Governor of the Bank of Canada noted clearly that debt is a part of life for the majority of Canadians. To be clear, I'm not arguing that acquiring an expensive item of clothes, jewelry, or sports vehicle is a terrible thing. I also do not believe that consuming is a negative thing. The purpose of this film is not to philosophize on the consequences of a materialistic worldview. It's about being more conscious of who you are as a customer. Do you worry more about having money or seeming like you have money? The rat race isn't about working a 9-to-5 job, but about living life on the edge, chasing the thing, whether it's a paycheck or a material possession, to the point where your larger life goals and ambitions are pushed to the sidelines in order to continue this race. A budget and keeping track of your expenses have proven time and time again to work and draw you out of this race. It's entertaining to fantasize about generating money or amassing as much cash as possible. But what's the purpose if your connection with money as a consumer involves losing it or working 24/7 to finance that lifestyle? That is the genuine rat race. But, with that out of the way, let's speak about generating money. Now, the information we have been teaching for almost 30 years is confirmed. What's up, fellas? This is Graham. So let's take a time to discuss what's going on in the stock market, because as the week comes to a close, personal finance channels like Graham Stephan or Dave Ramsey are wonderful for understanding how to work on your consumption side of the equation. But if there was one thing I wish they spoke more about, it would be their financial abilities. And I can see why they don't. When speaking to a large group, it is simpler to lower your spending and consume less than it is to raise your income. Giving advice that will work for the majority of people is usually the best decision. There are whole societies founded on the concept of frugality. The fire service is one example of a movement that follows the approach of living very frugally and saving and investing as early as possible in order to retire as soon as feasible. Minimalists have a similar perspective to the fire community, though their positions are more deeply rooted in philosophical positions about the world and materialism in general. People like Graham Stephan or Dave Ramsey promote strategies that fall in the spectrum of living frugally, saving a lot of money, and investing in the long run. And there's nothing fundamentally wrong with this approach. It is suitable for a broader spectrum of individuals with varied levels of money. But, let's be honest, Graham Stephan doesn't make $100,000 to $200,000 a month on YouTube by clipping coupons or living a very modest lifestyle. Dave Ramsey's estimated net worth of $55 million is not based on these tactics. These folks are using a large-scale manufacturing method. In my video, The Untold Truth About Money, I discussed how money is comparable to your market worth. And the most effective approach to increase your worth is to identify a market need, develop a solution to that problem, and offer that solution to the market at scale. This is the path of the entrepreneur. A successful firm at scale may provide so much value to society that the production side of the equation expands exponentially in compared to a typical job. However, this is not a path that everyone can or should pursue. It's about reflecting on your own strengths and determining if entrepreneurship is the right path for you. That being said, growing your output doesn't have to originate from the formal definition of a firm. Graham Stephan utilizes YouTube to generate things on a large scale, in this instance, videos on personal finance. It's one of the reasons I decided to make videos for YouTube as well. It's a mechanism for producing anything, in this instance documentary-style films, on a large enough scale that I can now do it full-time and establish a company around it. Producing is about offering some kind of comparable value to the market. I use my acting, presenting, storytelling, and video editing talents to make videos that I hope are both amusing and informative. Fortunately, the market reacted favorably. Your kind of production may be the creation of an app or software that solves an issue. You believe the market will pay money for its solution, or perhaps a fitness brand that is extremely well branded and utilizes its community better than most other fitness brands, as I believe is the case with Ben Francis and what he did with Jim Sharp. For most people, labor in the form of a standard 9-to-5 job will be their means of production. This is not to say that your capacity to create ends there. Recognizing yourself as a producer is about understanding how you can provide value to the market. If you can create value on a huge scale, you can also make money on a large scale. The internet has luckily presented us with a great lot of chance to develop something and put it out to the market. Whether the market genuinely wants what you've made can only be decided after you've launched whatever it is that you've done. To summarize, it is first important to bring awareness to yourself as a consumer by journaling your consumption and then giving yourself a budget to manage and control that consumption. Producing then becomes a matter of maximizing the amount of value you can bring into society through a job, a business, or some other means of production. This is a structure that has immensely aided me, as I'm sure it has aided many others that have a keen interest in having money add up to something significant. Like this isn't just sushi we're talking about anymore, like this is major. Yeah. And then, to move from that to, say, this focused, is it $170,454? That is, indeed, crazy. Black small square blacks all square blacks and 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 all square. Hello. Before you click away from the video, hello, my friends. I'd want to say one thing. Thank you for taking the time to watch. You viewing this video up to this point is hopefully indication that I've offered some type of value to you in some manner. So don't forget to click the like button. And if you want to watch more videos on business, money, and finance in general, be sure to click the subscribe button. I also have a Patreon where I upload behind-the-scenes content, do questions and answers, and have a lot of other interesting ideas for it. So, if that's of interest to you and you'd want to help support the channel more, go ahead and check it out. The URL is provided in the description below. Now, integrating what I know about personal finance with business has been the most beneficial to me. And, as I previously said, this YouTube channel was one method I felt I could provide value to the industry on a large scale. If you want to do additional further reading on these topics, There are two pretty fantastic books on personal finance related items. The Millionaire Next Door and Your Money or Your Life are. These are excellent personal finance books, and if you know me, you'll know that I like MJ DeMarco's work. Check them out if you want to learn more about entrepreneurship. But, with that stated, I wish you a nice remainder of your day, my friends. If you like this video, please subscribe and hit the like button. If you like this video, please subscribe and hit the like button.